Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be looking at a very interesting topic, values for leading across generations. Our facilitator for tonight is Mr. Ahmed Ladan Gobil, and I would like to read his profile. I will skip a few things, but I would like you to listen. His profile is actually very inspiring. Ahmed Gobil is a highly skilled, dedicated, and licensed HR professional and corporate lawyer with over 30 years hands-on experience in both the public and private sector. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in history, a Master's of Business Administration, specializing in management, and then a Bachelor of Law. He's a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. His journey with Chartered Institute of Personnel Management started in 1989 when he was admitted into the institute as an affiliate, from where he gradually rose through the grades to become a fellow in 2006. In the last 34 years, he has held the following leadership roles in CIPF. He was branch secretary and chairman, Kaduna branch. He has been an elected council member. He is currently the chairman audit committee of the institute. He used to be the chairman, He's currently the chairman, professional conduct and ethics committee of CIPM. He's a member, board of fellows of CIPM. He's a member of the governing council of CIPM. He's also a board of trustee of the CIPM Multipurpose Cooperative Society. He started his career as a personnel and industrial relations officer in 1985 with Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. And then he joined the private sector and he rose to the position of managing director, chief executive officer of Critical Hope Nigeria Limited in 2013, after serving meritoriously for 12 years as general manager and company secretary / legal advisor. In 2018, Ahmed joined the Dangote Cement PLC group as a senior general manager and was designated as regional HR advisor and head organizational development Pan-Africa. He was subsequently promoted to group general manager and designated as strategic HR business partner for the commercial and Anglophone subsidiaries of Dangote Cement PLC, overseeing the 6 Anglophone countries, which include Ethiopia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zambia. In this capacity, Ahmed has served as HR advisor at Dangote Cement Ethiopia, HR advisor at Dangote Cement Zambia, respectively. Mr. Gobil is a former honorable commissioner for commerce, industry, and cooperative, and a member of the Kwara State Executive Council. And he has held at various times, served as boards of various companies, both with the state, federal government parastatals, and committees as director and member, acquiring extensive corporate and boardroom experience over time. Some of the roles he has played in the public sector include chairman, Kwara State Investment and Property Development Company in Ilorin, chairman, Kwara State Industrial Trust Fund in Ilorin, member, National Labour Advisory Council, Federal Ministry of Labour, member, Governing Board, National Bureau of Statistics, member, National Steering Committee, Open Government Partnership, Federal Ministry of Justice, member, Federal Government Tripartite Committee on the Review of the Minimum Wage, member, Governing Board, Kaduna State Water Corporation, Vice President, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Chairman, Small and Medium Industries Committee of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, member, Governing Council of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Director, Critical Hope, Kaduna, Director, Woodcraft Industries Limited, Kaduna, partner, Gobil and Co. Legal practitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a member of the following professional organization. He's a fellow with CIPM. I mentioned that earlier. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He's a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and a member of the International Bar Association, and also a member of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on, but I'd like Alhaji to please share his screen and his slide and I'll be happy to hand over control. When you read this kind of profile, it just looks like your journey has not started. I would like to say, when I grow up, sir, I would like to be with you. Speaking to us, let's welcome for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, Ahmed Gobil. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Yemi. You have been too kind to me. First, thank you for inviting me. And I thank everyone who has joined the call this evening. Yemi, please confirm that I can be heard clearly.
Yes, we can hear you clearly, but we can't see your slide.
You can't see the slide?
Yes, so you may need to share it again.
Ah, okay. Just a minute. Oh, goodness.
So what? So what? So let's try and reach, we can see your slide now, but you need to unmute, sir. Good, sir.
No, it's back on it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Then. Thank you very much, Yemi, and thank you for having me once again. I apologize most sincerely for joining the call late. Like we say in Nigeria, let's just say that Nigeria happened to me today. And I have had to just stop somewhere where I can quickly join this call, considering that I had made a commitment to be here, and it's a commitment which I do not take lightly. Let me also use this opportunity for thanking Yemi and the team for having me join you yesterday at the Hangout. I'm sure we all had fun. Today, we will be speaking to each other about values for leading across generations. We all know that today, in the workplace, it will appear that we do have more than just one generation, of course, in the workplace. And people have said that we have close to about 5 generations now in the workplace. So today, we will be speaking to ourselves about these 5 generations. Yemi, please confirm that my slides are moving.
Yeah, they are moving, but it's not full screen.
Yes. Okay, just give me 1 minute and let me just, I think it's a network. Maybe I'll just switch to another network. Just 1 minute, please.
All right, it's okay, sir.
So, I was saying that we now have 5 generations in the workplace. So this evening, we'll be looking at the 5 generations that we have in the workplace, the changes that are happening in the generational landscape. We'll be looking at how to engage, or how we engage, of course, with the 5 generations that we have. And then we will conclude by talking about the 9 tactics which HR leaders have said are the tactics for leading across generations. Now, the 5 generations we are told are those generations of those who are born before 1945. The most popular, of course, being the generation that is called the baby boomers. That is those who are born between 1946 and 1964. The generation to which I belong, and the generation, of course, which I fondly like to call as the Gen B. The next generation, of course, is a generation of those born between 1965 and 1980. And then you have, of course, those born between 1981, to 1997. And of course, the last generation being those born between 1998 to the present day, those we now popularly called Gen Z. Those born before 1945, of course, are those we call the traditionalists. The next generation, of course, is the generation of the baby boomers. those that I popularly, because it is my own generation, I call Gen B. And don't ask me how did I come about that appellation, Gen B. Some of us do not like being called baby boomers. We would rather, also like to be called Gen Ds and Gen that. So we call ourselves Gen B, The next, of course, is the Generation X, those born between 1965 and 1980. And then you have the millennials, those between 1981 and 1997. And of course, the Gen Z, those born between 1998 and the present time. You have all of these people traversing, the workplace. Yes, the traditionalists are virtually giving way now. So, but at least you can say that there are organizations where you still have them, no matter what you choose to call them. You still have them there, either in the background as advisors, or some are even still taking the lead. But of course, the most popular, of course, will be those in the baby boomers generation. But where you have the majority of numbers, especially in the Nigerian population today, are within those who are in the millennials and of course the Generation Z. Statistics, and studies have shown that this is where you have over 50%, of the population in Nigeria today concentrated. Now, looking at the generational landscape, the baby boomers or Gen B are now retiring at the rate of at least one every 9 seconds between now and 2029. This is because for those who work, for example, in the public service, anyone who was born within that time is either already at his 60s, in which case, of course, you have to retire from the public service or even in the private sector, or even if you are born slightly later, you are at such a stage where in the public service, for example, you probably would have spent 35 years of service, at which time, of course, you will be expected to retire. So the baby boomers are at the stage where the world is now at the stage, or the world of work is now at the stage where the baby boomers are retiring at the rate of at least one every second. And statistics have shown that this will continue to happen from now until about 2029. The next, of course, are those we call the Generation X, which is the generation which now accounts for at least 51%, of the leadership roles that we have globally. This, of course, is the statistics drawn, of course, from a research conducted by CNBC and, of course, by the Conference Board of Global Leadership. This research was conducted in 2019, but it has been confirmed that this is true even as of today. So you have in the leadership position those in the Generation X category, people who were born from around 1965 upwards. Now, in a country like the US and even in Nigeria today, the millennials are now the largest generation that you have in the workforce. You will find that in every workplace, 1 in every 3 of the employees that you find in the organization are millennials. When I look at my workspace, for example, or most of our workplaces now, today, you will find that, yes, if you find somebody from either Gen X, you are most likely, of course, leading a team. You are most likely, of course, to find millennials, 2 millennials in that team. So 1 in every 3, of the population that we have in the workplace today, is made up of people in the millennial generation. Now, in every country, the Gen Zs are entering the workforce in large numbers. Every year in Nigeria, we have people who go for the National Youth Service, and at the end of the day, they come out of the National Youth Service in numbers. If you look at the state for Lagos State, like Lagos State, for example, statistics have shown that you have not less than 3,000 to 5,000 university graduates from various universities in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria posted at every time for the National Youth Service in Nigeria. So imagine this across all the 36 states, all the 36 states that we also have in Nigeria. So this generation in Nigeria, for example, when they complete the NYSC, at least a minimum of 25 to 30% of them join the workforce, either working for blue-collar organizations, or some are starting their businesses, the startups on their own. So the Gen Zs, are gradually, entering into the workforce in very large numbers in all the workplaces across the world. As it is in Nigeria, even though we have very high rate of unemployment, it is the same that is happening. Same thing that is happening across Africa, across Europe, and across the Americas. Even the great migration that is happening because people are leaving, say, the shores of Nigeria, for example, to go to those other locations to go and seek work. And the people who are most affected by this migration that we're witnessing are people that are mostly, in the Gen Z space, as we know them today. Now, how do you then manage, this generation? How do you lead people in these various generations? Of course, first is communication. When you talk about communication, we're saying that, to lead across these generations, you need to communicate properly. One, you set expectations for communication. Sometimes, in fact, you have to over-communicate. Over-communicate in the sense that whilst, of course, the norm is that because those in the millennial and the Gen Z category are people who easily are able to seek and to get information and get data using various forms of technology. It may not be the same for people in other generations. So you need to sometimes over-communicate. While the Gen Z or a millennial will catch on to the information that you are trying to pass across, it may not be the same for those in other generations. So you need to over-communicate. You need to use multiple communication vehicles and avenues to reach all generations. So you have to be flexible. While it is easy for some of us to get communication easily, perhaps using slides, you need to use other forms of communication to reach people who are in other generations. It is the reason why, for example, a lot of things are happening on WhatsApp, a lot of things are happening on LinkedIn, a lot of things are happening on Telegram, a lot of things are happening on Google. Now, you also have to develop to personalize your approach to communication. In communication, it may not be sufficient to just do communication online or pass information online. You may need to reach people one-on-one or group by group to ensure that you personalize communication. Face-to-face communication, of course, still wins, and it still works across all generations. No matter what you do online, people appreciate, of course, the fact that they are able, to communicate directly with someone that they are, that they can see, put a face to, and relate with. Communication, of course, in communicating, you must also provide feedback. And this is especially more so with our millennials and our Gen Z. At every point in time when you engage, you must be ready to share and to provide feedback. Of course, the second, of course, is motivation. Now, what motivates one particular generation may not be the same that motivates the other generation. Whilst motivation for those we call traditionalists, people born from around 1945, may include attributes or things like respect, mentoring people in the Gen X, and mentoring millennials and Gen Zs, while security may be important to them, while independence may be important to them, flexibility with work tasks, accommodation may be very important to them. For those who are baby boomers, what motivates them are completely different. And for baby boomers, opportunities for professional development, that meant a lot to people like me growing up. When I was looking for a job here and there, one of the considerations for moving from any employment to another, for example, for me, is the opportunity for professional development. I was sharing with a group of people yesterday that the reason, for example, I left my first job working with the Ajakuta Steel Company Limited was because I did not see the opportunity to develop myself, either by way of getting to get a master's degree or even for at least moving on with getting professional certification such that I desire. So this may be it for baby boomers. Holding positions of authority is another very important one for them. Now, getting recognition for whatever contribution they make or for whatever achievements they may have achieved in the workplace. We also look at workplace benefits. What can this job offer me? And of course, the opportunity for people like us to also mentor millennials and Gen Zs. For Generation X, of course, they are looking at family-based benefits as part of the motivation. So when people like this, of course, are going to look for work, they are looking at, can this employment provide some benefits in kind or some sort of benefits, of course, for me and for my family. So if, for example, they were going to join an organization that says, oh, no, we do not provide Medicare, for your family members, they are most likely not going to take such employment at that point in time. They're also looking for lifestyle benefits. I know of people who have come to me or during the course of recruitment processes will ask me, does your organization, offer membership of, say, clubs like Ikoyi Club? All right. My very sincere apologies. It's been a very, I must say, it's not something that I say always, but it's been a particularly unpleasant day. But I do apologize to everyone that we have on the call. Again, it's Nigeria that's happening to us again. So I had stopped at where I was discussing, of course, what motivates millennials. And of course, I was saying that they are also interested in opportunities to express creativity and to express, of course, their opinions and in the workplace. They like they like fast tasks. They like being able to change things in the workplace. And of course, they're also interested in money saving schemes. We found that even though they are millennials, of course, they are interested in whatever opportunities we have, joining cooperative societies, joining with this money scheme or the other. And of course, they're interested, of course, in getting financial education for them to be able to manage, of course, their resources. For Gen Zs, yes, they all covet respect like every other person, but they also want out of work socialization. And I say this because I have found, for example, in so many workplaces, where you will find that Gen Zs are interested in, look, what more can we do besides just coming to work 8 to 5? I see the same set of people, at work. or is it possible for us to go hang out, somewhere and do some other things so I can get to know some other side of this Mr. A or Mr. D with whom I am working. We have seen Gen Zs who have come on to their line managers to say, look, I know I will get paid if I do extra hours of work or overtime. But sir, I'm not interested in overtime. What I actually want is work-life fit or work-life integration, or what we popularly call work-life balance. Yes, I signed up for this 8 to 5 work, but once it is 5 o'clock, I want to pack my bags and go. So I can go spend my time, doing something else, even if it is socializing with people of the same ilk as me. Now, they're also interested, of course, in money saving schemes and financial education schemes, of course, that can help them grow their resource base, financial education such that they are able to manage their own finances, on their own. And they are the ones with the very bright business ideas, for making money. They love to have experienced this other than just work days. So in some organizations now, you have employers organizing several kinds of engagements to provide shared experiences for this class of employees. And of course, they are interested in leveraging mentoring platforms and mentoring opportunities, so that, of course, they can grow their competencies, grow their skills, and even grow their relationships even outside the workplace, especially considering the fact that mentoring, happens both in and out of the workplace. Now, the third, of course, of this characteristics, of course, for engaging or ways of engaging, of course, with across different generations, of course, is leadership. And we're talking about the characteristics of good leadership. Now, a good leader is that one who sets clear direction for the team. This is a mantra that all of us in the workplace, even if you are leading just one person, talk about. You provide a very clear and unambiguous direction for your team. Members of your team must know that these are the goals, these are the objectives which we as a team, need to achieve. And this is how we intend to go about, achieving those objectives or goals. A good leader, of course, will also be one who involves the team members in decision making, and decisions that get made. Across all the generations, if you are in a leadership position, either as a line manager or leader of a team that has an ad hoc task to perform, or leader, of a team in your department, you must be interested, of course, in involving, all members of your team in the decision-making process. You must value their contribution to the decision-making process. And this applies to all the generations. It's not limited to any of the generations. Now, you must also leverage the different strengths and skills of members of your team. There's what we call the strength finder. Each and every member of the team, has his innate skills, strengths, and abilities. As a leader, you must be able to find the particular strength and the particular skills of each member of your team. So you can harness all of this together, at least towards achieving the goal. Now, you must also learn, of course, to meet each member of your team, wherever they are. That's called situational leadership. It is unlikely that you will find a team where the strengths and skills of all members of the team are the same. So a leader or one who provides good leadership must be one who is able to identify that, oh, look, whilst Mr. A is able to deliver this task, within 24 hours, my understanding of Mr. B is such that it will require a little over 36 hours or 48 hours to deliver this. And these are the reasons why, you know. For example, we all process information differently. Some of us are very slow, of course, at processing information. Some, you know, are very quick at grasping information and processing information and even converting them into data to be used in workplace. So a good leader and a good team leader must be able to meet each member of the team and across all generations, you know, at that place where the team member drawing from the strength of that team member and then using that strength of the team member to combine with those of others, of course, to achieve the goals. Now, this leader must also be one who is ready to hold the team and members of the team accountable. And there is no gainsaying that, of course, where you do not have accountability, then of course you do not have deliverables met. But you must hold a team accountable for every task that they are given, for every KPI that is set for them. They must be ready. You know, you provide them with the authority, you know, and the support they require to deliver on this assignment. Once you do that, then you must hold each member of the team and the team as a whole accountable for delivering on the KPI or on the task or on the responsibility that has been given to the team. Now, a good leader must be one who also cares deeply about the team members, you know, and it is not enough, you know, to care about how the team member is performing at work. It is important, of course, that you are also interested in what is happening to the team member outside the workplace. If, for example, a team member wakes up at home and finds that, okay, there's a child that is ill and the person needs to take the child to the hospital, but you are that leader who insists that, no, you're supposed to be reporting for work at 8:30. I expect you to be at work at 8:30. The likelihood is that whilst that team member may come to work because you insist, you are not likely to also get the best out of that team member. So you must care about members of your team. You must care, of course, about what is happening to them outside the workplace. And that is showing empathy, you know, for what is happening to them. You must care about their progress as members of the team. You must care about their career as members of the team. You must care about their welfare as members of the team. So you must be that team leader who generates enthusiasm, you know, for members of your team. The enthusiasm, you know, to deal with every task and to deliver on every responsibility, of course, that comes with it. Now, you must, of course, also put team priorities before your own priorities. When priorities are set, the priorities of the team must always come before yours as a leader. And this is required in managing across all generations, you know, because leadership, you know, is a big responsibility, of course, which requires a lot of sacrifice. And part of the sacrifice is, of course, agreeing and determining that the priorities of my team and helping my team to achieve its priorities, of course, will come before my own priority. Now, at all times, we must also model what good looks like. You must walk the talk. You must lead by example. You must show that there's a difference between good and bad. There's a choice, you know, between choosing to do the right thing, you know, as opposed to, of course, refusing to even do anything at all. Now, there are 9 tactics, like we said, of course, to leading across the generations. And part of these tactics, and of course, these characteristics for leading across generations, they are more, of course, these are by no means all that you have. The list is inexhaustible. But of course, these are 9 very key ones, which we must all imbibe, no matter what generation we belong to, and no matter, what position we find, of course, ourselves. The first, of course, is that across all generations, we must be ready to learn from each other. Like I said earlier on, every member of a team has an innate strength, and innate skills, and of course, competencies. So it does not matter what your position is in the team. What is most important is that there's something that you're also bringing to the table. And of course, you are able, to add some value to the team. So, and in doing this, of course, we learn from each other. I am one who always tell people that where I work, like I said, there are 5 generations. I have had the privilege of learning, across all the generations in my workplace. It's either you are learning one new skill from a Gen Z, of course, or you are getting some wisdom, advice from somebody who is a baby boomer, like you, a good team. The second, of course, is flex the hours. Make the hours of work flexible for people who work with you. Now, people are want to ask, or people may want to ask, I mean, how do I make hours of work, for example, flexible when I'm working in a manufacturing organization, for example? Oftentimes we hear this, but we have found that whilst, if you allow teams to determine how they intend, of course, to deliver on the task that you're on them, then they are also likely to agree on what time they need to spend to deliver the place. But what we're simply saying is, as leaders, we must be flexible, in the workplace and with the teams that we need. I work, for example, with a boss who you go on to say, look, I'm thinking of working from home tomorrow. I am considering working from home tomorrow. And my boss will simply say, well, what is important is that you deliver on whatever it is that we have agreed that you will deliver within the week. I do not care where you work, and I simply also expect that you will be just a phone call, away, just in case I require some urgent information or urgent support or urgent data, from your end. As team members and across all generations, we must share values and we must also show respect to each other. Share values of integrity, values such as honesty, values such as dependability, values such as teamwork, and we must show respect to every member of the team. We must never make the mistake of belittling any member of our team or disrespecting any member of the team. These, of course, are things that happen across all generations. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. Like they say, for example, honesty will remain honesty. Integrity will remain integrity, whether with a Gen Z or with a baby boomer or with a traditionalist. I heard Yemi, speaking about one who probably has a penchant for coming late to work. No one in the workplace will care whether you are a baby boomer, you are a Gen X, you are a millennial, or you are a Gen Z, for example. If you come to work on a regular basis, it doesn't matter what your generation is. Everyone, of course, will recognize the fact that, look, this person has the habit of coming late to work and then making excuses. And of course, like I said earlier, you must show respect to members of your team, no matter what generation they belong to. You must be a trustworthy leader. One, of course, that people in the various generations in the workplace who you lead, members of your team, can trust not only to provide leadership for them, but of course, to also have their back at all times. Those you work with must know that you are not that kind of a leader who, at the slightest opportunity, will throw them under the bus. The fifth, of course, is addressing office politics. I'm not aware of any workplace where you do not have office politics. But as a leader, you have a responsibility to your team members in the various generations that you have, and across all the generations that you have a responsibility to make sure that you do not allow, office politics, to affect the cohesion that you have in the team, and of course, the responsibilities that the team have to deliver. So at all times, when you have office politics, if you notice the fact that politics is interfering, with the team, you must immediately address it. You must, of course, also immediately nip it in the body. The sixth, of course, is communicating change. At all times, you must communicate change. Like I said earlier, you communicate. It could be face-to-face communication. It could be, communication online, looking all forms, through emails, on social media. When change is happening, part of what you need to do as a leader, of course, is to ensure that you communicate this change to members of your team. And you then use these same members of your team, of course, to drive change. The seventh, of course, is understanding the context of loyalty. To achieve cohesion, of course, team and across all generations, you must know that loyalty is something, of course, that counts. Loyalty to the team, loyalty to the organization. And we're not talking about loyalty to the leader. It is loyalty, as a matter of fact, to the objectives for which you have the team. Loyalty to the goals for which you have the team. Loyalty, to the organization, of course, for which you work. This loyalty that we're talking about is not loyalty to the leader, but loyalty to members of your team, as it. Now, then you have creating, of course, a learning environment. At all times, you must be that leader, of course, who creates an environment where members of your team, of course, can learn. Is either learning from you as a leader, or you are providing learning opportunities for them to learn from each other in the team and across generations, or that as individual members of the generation, they are also providing learning, for people in the team. So you learn, you unlearn, and of course, you relearn. Finally, was born, of course, with coaching skills. Those who have coaching skills have either developed them over time, either because they have been mentored by great coaches, or because they have watched coaches, perform in the workplace. But as individuals, no matter what our generation is, and no matter what generation we belong to, we must try to hone, our coaching skills. We must try to build our coaching skills so that we can coach others and also mentor others. I think I will pause here. Again, I know the time is fast spent. I would like once again to apologize for the hitches and the glitches that we have suffered. First, of course, for my joining the call late, and of course, for what technology has also done to us in the course of this conversation. Like Yemi said, I'm already fighting my village people, and I have told them I am no longer available for them, I thank you for letting me speak with you. I will be willing to take questions if we have any. I'll also be willing to take contributions for people on the call so that I can also learn from our colleagues on the call. Thank you very much, Yemi. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. This has been a very interesting, engaging, insightful session. We celebrate you and we appreciate you. Thank you. Against all odds, as inconvenient as it became, based on the realities of today, but your commitments, dedication, and leadership came through again. Again, thank you to everyone on this call. Your patience and understanding is not taken for granted at all. So if you would like to either ask a question or share some thoughts on this subject matter, we'll be glad to hear your thoughts in the next few minutes. Please raise your hands. And if I don't see any hands in 120 seconds, we'll be glad to call it a wrap. Meanwhile, sir, people are already saying thank you in the chat box. You can keep your appreciation coming. I'm also checking the chat box in case there's any message or question that is dropped there. So I see Joy, I see your hands up. Please go ahead with your comments or your questions, please. Joy, you have the floor, please.
Okay,
hello,
thank you so much for an insightful webinar, Mr. Ahmed. It was really insightful and I learned a lot. So my question is trying to infuse all this. So let's say you said something about flexible work hours, allowing people to come in and then maybe because they can work later, we should infuse that. But how about maybe owner of the business that don't see it that way, right? So you have a business owner that you said the resumption time is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., for example. And then someone is suggesting, okay, how about allowing these people to come by 10 o'clock and then they close by 7? And then they said no. How do you try to infuse this culture in such a way that the leaders or the owners of this organization would buy into this? That's my question, please.
Okay, so thank you very much, Joy. We have all kinds of businesses, and we almost recognize the fact that owners of businesses will run their businesses, of course, the way they want. But I dare say that a lot of business owners today know that if they want their businesses to survive, they also will have to bend a little backwards to accommodate what is happening in the workspace now. I spoke earlier on of an employer, for example, an employee where I work, who walked up to his manager, to say, look, I am not interested in doing overtime. No, coming to work on Saturday or Sunday, or going to work beyond 5 o'clock. When this matter came to us in HR, we reached out to this employee, for example, and we said, well, if you come to work on Saturday or Sunday, they will pay you X amount of money for each day you came. The response we got, for example, was, well, I'm not interested in the money. I just need my time. Now, if we were to have gone ahead to say, look, you have to do it, what is likely to happen? As big as the organization I work for is, that employee may one day just wake up and say, look, take your job. I'm not interested. And he walks away. Yes, you want to fill that vacancy. But what guarantee do you have that the next person you are bringing in will not also be like that gentleman who walked away from work? And this is happening across generations. I have someone who today belongs to a baby boomers generation. Well, someone in recent time, in the same place where I work, who walked up to us one day and said, look, I am resigning. And we tried, for example, to talk him through why he shouldn't resign. He did give us feedback. What I'm interested in, of course, is flexibility in my hours of work. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, look, you are close to 60 now. What's with you and this flexibility? We realized that if we were not going to allow this happen, this gentleman, of course, we simply just dropped his letter, you know. In fact, he was ready to pay 3 months salary and just walk away. For the simple reason that he got another organization that was going to allow him, to work flexibly. In fact, what they told him is you can come in, say, 3 days in a week. You can take your Tuesdays and Thursdays, to work from home. Believe you me, what we had to do was to speak to his own boss to say, look, will it hurt your department if Mr. Z, works this way? Arrangement. Now we have a responsibility as HR practitioners and HR professionals to put these possibilities on the table. I do know, Joy, that there are instances and in some organizations where, yes, the powers that be will say, no, that will not happen. But of course, no one can blame you for trying. And what I've always said is, nothing ventured, of course, is nothing gained. We must at least try. And gradually, this thing is becoming, it's actually gaining ground. It's becoming part of our work life in Nigeria. A lot of organizations now, are allowing this to happen. And it's not something about Gen Zs or millennials. It's something that is cutting across all generations. In where they have agreed on their own to say on Monday, these 2 employees, for example, in fact, they ask the employees to choose which of the days do you want to work away from home. It is not written anywhere. It's just an internal arrangement between the team lead and members of the department. And this is a department that has about 300 employees. So they have a way of rotating it such that in every week, someone takes a day off work, but of course, the person is working from home. Now, that is an arrangement between them. When it came to our notice, and incidentally, I mean, when it came to my attention, I had, it is not hurting our work. These people are still delivering on their task, even though there are interdependencies between the task that every one of them delivered and those of others. Those there's no disconnection between those dependencies. So, Joy, yes, it's a hard one, but we must continue to try with those leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question, Joy, and thank you so much, Alhaji, for that robust response. While you were speaking, our colleague, the Oyo State Chair, dropped a message, Dr. Morakin Oloyede, and I'll read it out quickly. He says here, to effectively manage across generations, leaders, must listen more to harness the great opportunities inherent as it enhances succession planning and business sustainability. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank most sincerely everyone on this call. But let me just
completely with Dr. Lady.
Mr. Dele Ogunyale, do you have any contributions? Mr. Franklin Elumelu Francis, any contributions? Mr. Morakin Oloyede, any contributions? You can unmute and speak. I've made all of you co-hosts. If any of you would like to say anything quickly, we are glad to have you as we call it.
Good evening. Thank you very much. We would like to commend the presentation made by Alhaji Gobe. Like I've said, quite wonderful, quite apt, even though there was challenges in the part, but the way he was able to wrap them up at least ensured that we had a good learning situation. And like I said here, we cannot run away. You can't afford to send one generation away from the other. So you've got to meet a mixture of this generation. So you want, as a leader, to say, how do you get the best out of them? That's what's important. And we have found out that there is no generation that does not have its own, just like the analysis you make on the motivation, what motivates them. If you are able as a leader to identify what motivates them, you get the best out of them. Then there will be combination. You harness all these things that motivate together and become a policy. So in all what you do, each of the organization find that organization that take care of their interests, and they begin to put their best into their productivities, which is good for them as individuals. It's good for them as individuals, it's also good for the business. So once again, I want to thank Alhaji Gobi for the wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your input, Dr.
Thank you,
Moraki.
Dr. Lady. Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Dr.
welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Franklin, you go next, then we take Mr. Fola Vincent.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much, Alhaji Gobe, for the presentation. I think it was a well-rounded one. We have 5 generations at work at this time. And 2 things actually come to my mind each time we look at the generations that we have at work. Yes, we spoke about engagement, we spoke about motivation. I believe strongly that keeping them engaged is very important. You know, it's when they are engaged, they can bring their creativity to bear. The very young generation that we have at work these days, you will agree with me that they are very creative set of people. What we need to do is to provide guidance for them. You know, they can come up with all of the creative ideas, which we shouldn't throw away. Give them that freedom that they need. Give them the freedom that they need to bring their creativity to bear. With our experience, guide them and shaping these things, I'm sure that we can get the best from them. My contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fola Vincent, you have the floor, but please help me also respond to Lovet's question as you share your contribution. Mr. Fola Vincent, please. And that will be the final contribution. I will take closing remarks from Alhaji.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me quickly look at the Lovet's question. Sorry.
It's okay, I understand.
Okay. I work in an organization where manager can appoint any team lead to monitor staff who are interested in overtime, work on Sunday. Sorry, more people are sending in overtime work on Sunday or public holiday work. If such team lead decline, it is either he or she is debited or sacked. In such situation, work on the HR do. Thank you. Let me quickly say thank you to Alhaji for such a wonderful presentation. You know, we keep learning, and I won't lie to all of us here. Multi-generation, we call it multi-generation workforce, has become one of the thematic area that the HR professionals are discussing right now. Whether we like it or not, it is part of our new trend. The baby boomers are going, and they have the culture of the organization. And the Gen Z or the millennial or the Gen Z, some of these people are learning from them, and they are also very smart because of technology. And the most important thing is to balance it. And the key area thing has to do with leadership, culture, and how to integrate our values into all the generations so that we ensure that we sustain culture. And that is the area I just want to contribute to this conversation, because if the baby boomer go understand the culture, we're part of the value, and they are the one trying to transmit the value to the new generations. So there could be something like mentoring and also reverse mentoring. And that key area is very important. So go back to Lovet's question. I think Alhaji has already provided answer to that. And I don't see why we should not be flexible. I don't know why you want to do overtime or not. And I was looking at the chart. Oluyemi says something that is very important: customizing employee experiences. Personalization is very key for all of us as HR right now. So there's no point sacking because somebody did do overtime or not. There's no point sacking the person. It's just for us to understand that if somebody, although we know that we have to do that, because what if everybody doesn't want to do overtime? But we have to first of all communicate the importance and also look into work-life balance for that employee. So, and that is why I want to suggest and recommend, do a kind of, probably we call it net promoter test for all the staff, MPS, what worked for you, what doesn't work for you, discuss with your managers. And at the end of the day, let the managers come up with a timetable that they can work with. And I will tell you what happened in my own organization. You will realize that last year, the whole of our organization went back to 5 days in the office. It was very tough, but along the line, because it led to very high attritions and also turnover, and each of the managers and team lead, they sat down. I said, okay, we are the one in charge of this unit, and HR will not come here and run, though they do policy or anything they want to do. But the managers and the team lead, they sat down with their team and they look into, okay, what days work for you? What days is not going to work for you? And before everybody pick 1 or 2 days based on probably you are in operation, you are in a support staff, or you are, it can be very difficult for people in operation not to come to the office. But at the end of the day, those managers understand the people they are leading and they know how to work amidst themselves. I was in a particular conversation with one of our HR leaders in this Nigeria, and the person asked me a question: who is in charge of the team, HR or the team leads or the managers? And I told the HR leader that, come, it is the managers. We are just trying to support them. These people understand what's going on among their team. They know who is strong, who is not strong. They know the impact that each of them bring. And the most important thing is that if they can sit down with their team and they have an agreement with them, okay, you don't do overtime, you are doing overtime, and it doesn't affect our job, there's no point sanctioning anybody involved, whether you're not doing overtime or the manager is, there's no point sanctioning them. The most important thing is that this decision does it have any impact on the business? If it is not negative impact, yeah, HR can be very, very concerned. But if it does not have any negative impact, then let it roll. And let's be flexible. I think we have to talk about flexibility here. Yes, policy has to be there, rules and regulation has to be there, but there's a room for flexibility, because look at the Gen Z now. Gen Z can come in the morning, and before the evening, they resign. They won't even tell you. They just resign and go away. So what do you want to do? So we need to understand the generation we find ourselves, the economy, whether we like it or not, the economy is having serious impact on what we do. So the question is that, who should we shift the responsibility to? As HR, let's work with the manager. Don't worry, we're going to support you. Let's look at what works for your team. As long as you are getting the job done. Somebody asked a question about lateness, or I say, come, go and review your lateness issue and know where you have to be flexible. Look, use data, look at the distance, look at everything. Does lateness has impact on our productivity? If the answer is no, then just tell them, be proactive. Oh, we observe blah, 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 we observe something, and because of that, I think we are doing this. If you are coming for so type, you can resume 8:30. If you are coming from so area, you can resume 9 o'clock, because we have reviewed and we understand that lateness does not really have negative impact on our processes and productivity. Then it will, and they will see you as well. It seems you are showing empathy. So now, sorry, let me round up. However, there should be a control, and the control is very important from the HR. And the only way you can use control effectively is for you to have a way of measuring this action. How does it impact on the process? How does it impact on productivity? HR, we have to keep doing that. And that is why the issue of feedback and the issue of appraisal shouldn't wait for half of the year. Let's begin to have the conversation. Hello, managers. The managers is having a conversation with the direct reports. And at the end of the day, we know what works and what doesn't work. And let me tell you quickly, let me write up like this. The strategy, the HR strategy, policies that work 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, my dear, it might not really work 100% this time. There is a need for all of us to do some kind of review based on data that we have right now and what is happening right now. So that is where I'm going to draw the curtain. Thank you so much, Alhaji. Thank you so much. This is
thank you. Yeah, Alhaji, please indulge us. We want to take a contribution from Pearl all the way from Abuja. She's one of our.
Please go. No. Please go ahead. I'm all here.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Oluyemi, and
Alaji,
thank you.
I'd like you to
In
know
fact,
where do you work? I want Alaji
I
to know
was
where
just
you
reading.
work.
I was just reading Pierre's comment, and Yemi, I was going to ask you to say, please read Pierre's comment for us all to hear. I didn't know she was still on the call,
Yes, tell
so it's
Alaji.
good. Thank you.
Well, okay, I work with AYM Shafa Holdings Limited. Alhaji Gobir, I don't know if you heard that. Okay, so what I'll quickly add here, as
Please
HR
go ahead.
people, we need to know how to navigate these. Sorry, we need to know how to navigate these generations. And the reason why we need to know this is so that we can advise as HR. So you see, most people will tell you that their management, they want to bring in, innovative ideas, they want to do flexibility, but their management would not agree. It is typical of baby boomers because they worked all their lives the proper way. The way that you have to come to work in the morning, work till evening, put in extra hours. They basically were groomed with working hard. You understand? So when they now come to see a new set of generation telling them you can be at home to work, it sounds alien to them. And that is why most of them refuse to agree. Now, as HR, where you come in, if you want to make them adopt some of these ideas, you need to tie whatever you are telling them to cost savings for the company. Yeah. You need to tie it. So if they don't see how the business is going to make money, most times they will discard your advice. And that is because they are more concerned about the sustainability of the business and about the people. And it is not their fault. That is what they know. It is what you know that you will uphold. So you must always try to say that, look, if people begin to work flexibly, you can save on cost, you can save on diesel, cost savings. Then that is when they have the tendency of listening to you. Now, Gen Z, on the other hand, these ones don't like stress. They want to just work, and they want to work and make it fun. But the problem with losing Gen Zs is that it also affects sustainability of the business, because they are supposed to be the future leaders to carry on that business. And if all of them are leaving, then the company has a problem. So as HR, you need to keep them engaged, focus sessions, focus groups, find employee engagement initiatives so that they can understand that they add value to the business. Keep them engaged so that they can see that being in that business is beneficial for the company and also for them. That is the way you can sustain the business. And that is my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening. Yeah, I don't know whether you can give me a minute.
Okay, go ahead, doctor. Go ahead, doc.
All right. Alaji, I think
Thank you, Pierre.
this challenge goes to Yemi and Alaji, and including plus myself. I think it's our time we make deliberate effort to gather business owners, especially small and medium-sized organizations, on the free sessions where all these issues we are talking about, all these changes that are occurring, we are discussed with them, like maybe breakfast or whatever session we call it, for enlightenment. It will make the life of our young HR professionals easier, because when they hear from us as a body that regulates human resource structure in the country, and we are telling them these are the changes, they are able to yield it. So when any of our young professionals are pushing for change or this initiative, it will not come new. It will not look as how old are you that you'll be teaching me, whatever. They will be able to yield that they have had it at some higher level, that things are changing, and they begin to also attune their mind and their focus to embrace new ideas. That is what I want to draw. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Again, Alhaji Gobel, please indulge me for the very last time. I have to take Adeyemi Ajayi. He's a fellow ACF before he raises a motion for impeachment.
Please go ahead. I'm here. We can take as many contributions and questions as we can, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. I just need to put this out there. Again, whether we talk about the Gen Bs or the Gen Alphas, as the case may be, the first thing we must always not forget is this: why does a business exist? Anyone that is bringing value, solving problem, helping a business to achieve its purpose of existence, it will be difficult for any owner or any management to look away or push you aside. For every initiative that a Gen Z is coming up with, if you bring the business angle to it and you link it to how the business is going to make money and of course add value, I tell you, the business owner will be easily receptive to your idea. But when all you are thinking about are the ideas you are bringing, it's always going to lead to more costs, or it's going to lead to less productivity, or it's not going to actually lead to adding to the bottom line. They will always remain nice to have. There are things that are nice to have, but for as long as you put your initiative at the point of this is how this initiative we add value to this business and help us achieve our bottom line and also our top line, there is no way they will not listen. If you say you want to work for only 2 hours in a day and the business will make 100% of the budget of the revenue, so far your ideas are logical and you bring out the point, the business owner will tell you to go and execute it. Even if a GMB is coming to come and say, no, don't do that, so he will tell you, okay, this is 100% revenue at your doorstep. It's as simple as that. So no matter how we go about the conversation around the various generations, what they want and what they don't want, which one is thinking whichever way, at the end of the day, the focus is always how does the business meet its purpose of existence, which is have the right skills and competency and the right people in place, putting together in place the right processes that is leading to meeting the needs of the customers. And in meeting the needs of the customers, we are generating value for the shareholders and the business is making money. That is the balanced scorecard approach. And that is strategic approach. Take care of the people take care of the processes. The processes satisfies the customer's need by producing what the customers want and exceed the customer's expectation. And the customers pay for the value and the company makes money. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Alhaji Gober, you have the floor for the closing remarks, sir. Thank you so much. It's Made Najai.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Thanks to everyone who has spoken, Fola, Dr. Loede, Franklin, Pierre, Yemi Ajayi, and others who have also dropped in, of course, their comments in the chat box. This conversation is one that will be with us for a very long time. And I think what is most important is what Adeyemi Ajayi just concluded with. Yesterday, when I was speaking to a group of our colleagues, I told them that no matter how bright your idea is, if it does not impact the P&L or the bottom line of your organization, then it will continue to remain in the realm of ideas. Whether it is an SME, or it is a large corporation, at the end of the day, what is most important for the business is what happens. How does your idea impact the bottom line? And I completely agree that for Gen Zs and millennials in the workplace, what keeps them in the workplace is continuous engagement. Engagement at all times. What actually makes them to blossom? And like Pierre said, they come up with creative ideas which everyone can latch onto, to ensure that, of course, businesses are able to deliver, on their objectives, to deliver on their goals, And at the end of the day, of course, the business is making money. Gradually, on a final note, gradually, of course, the generations are, now being narrowed down to about 4. Like we said, the traditionalists are, leaving the business. At least 1 in 5 to 6 of the baby boomers that you have around are retiring, and they are leaving work. They are leaving the workplace. So effectively, say in the next 1 or 2 years, you probably just have about 4 generations, of course, left. And the larger population, in the workplace that we have now are people around, people or they are Gen Zs. The generation Alpha, of course, is coming just like Adeyemi Ajayi, alluded to. Our responsibilities as leaders and as HR managers is to continue to harness the potentials of all of these generations with the view to delivering on whatever is the business objective. Every generation, like Dr. Oloyede said, is very, very important. And because if you are talking about building a bench strength, you cannot build a bench strength for your organization with just baby boomers. You cannot build a bench strength for your organization with just Generation X. You can also not do it with millennials, because the millennials, will grow out of being millennials, to be replaced by Gen Zs. So your bench strength must be such that, of course, across all of these generations. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is that in order to accommodate millennials and Gen Zs, what some businesses are doing now is what we call this work-life integration, not just work-life balance. Because if you talk about work-life balance, you are simply talking about, you are asking the employee to go and balance his personal desires with, of course, the personal demands with the demands of the workplace. But if you're talking about work-life fit and work-life integration, then you are saying as an employer, you are ready to help this employee to integrate his personal life into the workplace. And that's why you have businesses now building gyms around, building places where employees can have experiences outside of the workplace, but within the workplace. It is to accommodate the desires of this generation of employees. Well, having said all of this, Yemi, let me once again just conclude by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to speak to our colleagues on this. We will continue to engage, offline and outside this. We will ensure that this conversation goes on. And like Dr. Oloyede again said, for us in the CIPM, I'm glad that Yemi Ajayi is here. Yemi Adeosun, you are also here. You are all leaders, of course, in the CIPM. This is a conversation that we need to start taking even to our SMEs. It's not something that should be limited to, just blue-collar organizations. We must let everyone know that there's a benefit, for example, to a flexible work arrangement, as long as it will impact the bottom line, and also it will not in any way negatively affect the business. But of course, it will also help the employees, to manage themselves and manage their time. Thank you very much for having me on the call.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Gobir. This has been excellent, and we didn't expect anything less from a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. In truth and indeed, your over 30 years quality experience showed through the presentation. I'd like to celebrate every single person who joined this call tonight, every single person who asked a question, made a comment or a contribution. Thank you for your insight and your generosity. It has been a beautiful night. Like somebody said on the group, this is time well spent. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it a wrap. Please, let's have a productive week by all means. Good night, everyone.
Good night.